Hello, gorgeous, and welcome back to another episode of the Blissfully Ambitious podcast. I'm your host, Ashlina, and I am so happy that you are here. Happy Friday morning, guys. Hope you had a beautiful week. I know down here in Texas, it is winter storm shenanigans happening this weekend. Most of North Texas, like Dallas, I have some family there. They're like it's snowy and icy in Austin too. And then down in the South, like Houston and below, it's very, very, very cold, which is it's odd for us. It's odd for Texas. It's not usually this chilly. So I feel like we just don't even know what to do with ourselves. Things begin to shut down. Everybody's hiding in their home. And it's really funny to me because I lived in New York for 7 years, and living in the city, you get used to being freezing cold and going out to eat or going down the street to the local bodega to go grab some flowers or whatever you need. And I thrive in this cold weather. I love just like a nice chilly day when you can put on your boots and your sweaters and your coats and a hat and just get out and feel that cold, fresh air. I don't know. There's something really magical about it. So it got me to thinking about the weekend and plans for the weekend and what I'm going to do and how I want to spend my time this weekend. And it got me to thinking about you guys and my clients. So the other day, I was working with one of my coaching clients, and we were talking about her levels of burnout and stress. And in one of our sessions, she was talking to me, and she was just going like just 10,000 miles a minute, just talking so fast and had so much to say and just feeling so overwhelmed and burnt out. And we were talking, a lot of the time when I work with women who are entrepreneurs or professional, we talk a lot about schedule. We talk a lot about decluttering not only your home, but also your time and your calendar. And we sort of set you up with strategies for how to make the most of your time so that you can protect your peace, really, and you can protect your inner peace. So was discussing that with her, and when she told me about her weekend, she had it so filled and booked with things to do. She didn't even have time for herself, and she was starting to sort of get on this vibe where like Mondays are dreadful because you've got to go back to the grind and you're just exhausted from the weekend. And I wanted to record this episode as an interrupt for anyone who can relate to this topic. So let's get into it. I think I'm going to put in the title of this episode, Elevation Requires Separation, right? You have to understand, if you want to elevate in your life, if you want to grow and get to your next level, you have to set yourself aside. You have to set time aside for yourself to get quiet, to go within, to do some inner healing, inner nourishment, inner work. We all know that you cannot pour from an empty cup. What that also means is you really can't be your best self. You can't be doing your best life when you are burnt out and when you are so busy. And I know there's this big, there's this like glorification of busy, they call it, or just everybody wants to feel busy. And if you take a look on social media or Instagram, it looks like everybody's out and everyone's having cocktails and eating and they're so busy and they have these fabulous lives. And we're really tricking ourselves into thinking like, ooh, it's cool to be busy. I'm worthy because I'm busy. And a lot of the times with my clients, I realize they're working on building their worth. And let me know if you can relate to this. You feel like you're working on building your self-worth so you can increase your income and increase your success, increase your level of what you're manifesting and what you're attracting, because it's all about self-worth, right? At the same time, you're not taking the time for yourself. You're not saying to yourself, I am worthy of the time that I need to work on filling up my own cup. That should be my priority. And so what happens is we end up feeling the need to be busy. We end up filling our time with things to do, things to work on, instead of just taking the time for ourselves, taking a time out and being willing to be alone for a minute, to be quiet for a minute. And one of those times that I noticed with this client was like her weekends. Many of us feel like our weekends are our time to go be social, to go do this or that, to go to these fun events. But I kind of want you to ask yourself, do you use your weekends to prioritize others, or do you take your weekend for yourself? So this is what I mean by elevation requires separation. When I spend my weekend personally, just sort of in a low-key vibe, I did this at Christmas. I didn't do a lot for Christmas this year. We kind of had like a low-key Christmas because of COVID, like all the family everyone was like in different places. And over the holidays, I sort of spent a lot of time taking care of my home, organizing, clearing out, finishing projects, doing like the Marie Kondo for my drawers. Like, when was the last time you just spent the time to organize your closet or get in your dresser or, take inventory of your dishes and see what you need, what you don't need? And I was starting to spend my weekends, instead of going out and being social and doing all the things, I would give it like a 30% social, like 30% I would give to myself to be social. But then I would take the other time truly for self, truly for cultivating self and self-care, cultivating home, not drinking as much, not eating out as much, but really taking that time to be at home on the weekend and allowing myself to feel a little separated from the pack. As many of you know, I have a very big family, right? So it's like cousins and aunts and uncles and parents and everybody really, a lot of the time, and all the kids, we try to get together and do fun things. But it has served me so well over, just the past several months of really separating myself even more. And it has allowed me to elevate myself, my mindset, my home, my space, so that I can be a better mom, partner, friend, daughter, cousin, all of those things. And I want to remind you guys of this, and I'm going to share like 3 different ways that you can begin to shift how you look at your weekends and what you're doing on the weekend. I used to have this series on my blog called Weekend Decorating Idea. And it would give you like a decorating tip that you could kind of do for the weekend to remind you to put your intention and focus on your home, because your home is so energetically infused with your life. It is such a reflection of what's going on in your inner world. So it's so important that you make sure and you tend to your space so that you can set yourself up for the week. And some people may say, I take Sundays to do a reset. But what about an entire weekend reset? What about using your weekend to nourish and care for yourself so that you can elevate to your next level? It can be that quick. It could take a weekend for you to commit to yourself. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go into this. Your weekend rituals, weekend routine, right? It's going to impact your next week, and it's going to impact the next week from that weekend and the next week and the next week. There's 52 weekends in a year. How are you spending that free time? So here's a few things I want you to consider and think about. One, and this is especially for my boss babes like me who we have our own businesses, or even just corporate women. Are you letting your work blend in or bleed into the weekend? Do you actually let yourself relax, or do you find yourself cracking open your laptop on Saturday morning or maybe Sunday afternoon? Are you checking emails? Like, how much are you letting your work life bleed into a weekend? And one thing that you could do is like set aside time. I know when I was working in real estate, you kind of have to work on the weekends a little bit because it's like house showings and that kind of thing. So for entrepreneurs, it can be hard. But what if you set yourself a schedule? What if you said from this time to this time, I will allow work to creep in, or maybe I'll take this particular weekend off a month. Maybe you set aside 1 month or 1 weekend every month that is like a self-care weekend where you do not work at all, right? And you just allow yourself to rest, not feel like you need to travel, not feel like you need to get out of town, not feel like you need to go do 7,000 things, but just to truly rest. This should also help you remember that during the week when you are in work, you need to be focused on work. So I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but if you've ever feel like you're working on the weekend and then during the week you feel burnt out, or you feel, you can't continue in the day, or you take off early, or you take an extra long lunch, or you don't really get those things done, you're doing that because you're burnt out and you're working on the weekend. You're moving your work and using that time that is meant to be for rest. So if you rested all weekend, maybe you would come back to your work week with more energy, with more vitality. Maybe because you took some time away, you have more focus and creativity. Perhaps you could be more productive. Perhaps you'll have more energy. It's sort of like really just prioritizing your time and setting boundaries, right? Being really diligent with your time and setting those boundaries around work. So you've got to get good at setting boundaries when you want to elevate. That's why, again, I say like elevation requires separation. 2, here's more boundaries. Saying no and declining invitations. I want you guys to really hear me. If you say no to a friend or to an invitation, it is not the end of the world. You're not going to lose the friendship. You're not going to insult the other person. You're not going to miss out on anything. What is meant for you is never going to miss you. And that's something that I have to remind myself often. Is like the things that are meant for me are going to find me no matter what. So if I feel like I wanted to go to this event so I could meet people or do something, I remind myself what is meant for me will never miss me. There's nothing I can miss out on. And if I was meant to meet somebody or make a connection or stumble upon or across something, it will happen in divine timing. That's a mantra you can stick with and hold to. When you start saying no and declining invitations to things that you don't really want to go to. In my membership in the House of Bliss, we have been working on connecting with the body, and really right now this month we're working on the sacral chakra and understanding how to deepen our connection with our intuition and our gut, and really understand what our sacral chakra is telling us. For any of you that are generators or manifesting generators like me in the human design world, you know that your main source of intelligence is from your sacral chakra. And especially for women, it is your womb. It is your connection to the divine. It's where you get all of your inspired ideas and just divine intelligence and wisdom. It should all be found in that gut area, right? So when you are asked to do something, when someone approaches you, hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? And usually you may be a person that's like, oh yeah, for sure, let's do that. I want you to start taking a deep breath, taking it down to your body and sort of going, do I really want to go? Or do I just want to go because I can get an Instagram photo, or just so I can feel like I'm not having FOMO, or just so I can feel like I'm wanted and people like me and I have things to do and I'm busy. The goal is to go from busy to blissful, from burnt out to balanced. Like that is our goal. That's what I love helping women with, right? So if you can just start to shift your perspective on this, it's really going to help you get to your next level. It's going to help you elevate. It's going to help you deepen your self-worth. When you are setting boundaries and you are living intentionally like that and sticking with them, your level of worthiness is going to elevate. Life is going to respond to you differently just because of who you start being. When you set yourself apart and separate yourself, elevation is inevitable. And that's the most exciting, amazing thing. Okay, next. When was the last time you have done something by yourself? When was the last time you took yourself out on a date? Or you went on, something I like to do is go on a 3-mile walk outside in nature and just go kind of be alone for a while, take some time to think. I love going to the gym by myself and sitting in the sauna. I love to go to a coffee shop with my laptop and just kind of be with my thoughts. Bring my journal and just journal it out. Spending time with yourself is also going to improve your self-worth. It's going to help you heal from those lingering feelings of loneliness that we all experience. Everyone experiences loneliness. It's like a normal human condition. At the core, humans, especially women, we're meant to connect. And so when we haven't done proper connecting with others, it's easy for us to feel lonely. And I'll explain that a little bit more. This is why I actually have my membership. In the House of Bliss, every month we have calls. We have live calls, and we come on and we get on and we share and talk with each other. It's like Sunday brunch with girlfriends, soul sisters, that you all sort of are positive. You make each other feel so good. You allow yourself to share yourself authentically. You share your truth. You're not afraid of being visible. And the people around you see you and support you. So when you're making sure that need as a woman for connection and to really be heard and seen, when you make that need a priority and you take care of that and you get that done, you come to a place where you actually can spend time with yourself alone and not feel lonely. When you are a person who spends your weekends or even week, however, like over socializing, over scattering yourself, getting burnt out all over the place, not really taking that time to go within, it's those behaviors that actually have you suffering from loneliness when you do take time alone. So if you can be really intentional about your time and say, I'm getting this need met, that need met, I'm doing things that nourish my soul, I'm going slow, I'm slowing down, I've met my need for connection this week. Now this weekend, I'm going to take some time for me and me. I'm going to take some time alone. I'm going to take myself to do something that is my favorite thing. For me, that looks like also going to the bookstore, going to Barnes and Nobles, and just pouring through interior design books and magazines and just filling myself up. For me, it's food. I have that time to myself and I don't feel lonely because I've taken the time to meet my connection needs in other healthy ways. I don't feel like I can't stand being alone. So that's something that you really want to look at and think about. When you spend time on your own, do you feel lonely? Because when you are cultivating your life and you're able to spend time alone and take yourself out on a date and do different things for yourself, by yourself, with yourself, you are elevating your worth. You're elevating your sense of self. You're saying that my own company is valuable. My own company is the best company you can get. There's an inner shift that happens there. It's a different belief that happens there, which elevates you to your next level and creates the life that you're going to live. So you want to practice being alone with yourself and spending time with yourself on the weekend, not feeling lonely. So not to plug my membership again, but to find yourself a community, right? Find yourself a group or a community of like-minded women or people that can make you feel seen and heard, make you feel safe, make you feel expressed. And perhaps you have that community already and you're already doing that so that you can fill up that need for connection and spend time alone on the weekend. Spend time for yourself. Press pause on being everything to everybody else and begin to be it for yourself. This is one of the quickest, as they call quantum jumps and up levels, is moving yourself from experiencing loneliness, being afraid of being lonely, being afraid of being alone, to investing that time in yourself and shifting that inner vibration from actually me and me is the best company I can have. And you won't experience that loneliness. You'll begin to really enjoy what you can do by yourself and on your own. The most important part about it is it elevates your sense of self-worth. And that's what we really want to do. We want to elevate your inner worth so you can elevate your life, right? And you can move from busy to blissful. That is the goal. So I want you to think about this weekend. That's why I created this episode for you. What are you going to do for you this weekend? How are you going to take time out for yourself? Not to fill other people's cup, not to go pour into other people, but to fill up your own, to take time for yourself. What are you going to do to make you happy? What are you going to do to make you feel worthy and loved and happy and blissful and powerful and magnetic and radiant? Self-love and self-care is not like a luxury, it's like a necessity. We have to make sure we're tending to ourselves so we can continue to create lives that we love and elevate, right? So I hope this episode was fun and helpful for you and inspires you to really take back your power and create a beautiful weekend. Don't just let your weekend fly by and Sunday night be like, where did the time go? I want you to tag me on Instagram or email me or shout out to me and be like, this is my best weekend ever. And show me how you are caring for yourself. Because as I always like to say, information is great, but until you integrate it into your life, it's not going to do anything for you. So I want you to implement something that you learned from this episode and then share it with me. I would love to re-tag you. I'd love to see it. I love connecting with you guys. It's so much fun. And if you are feeling generous, please leave a review. That is always helpful to sort of grow the podcast and get the message out there. And if you think this would be beneficial for a friend, feel free to share it. I love to meet new girls and have you guys in my world. So I hope you have the most balanced and blissful weekend. I will be doing the same and sharing it all on Instagram. You guys have probably seen I've been doing a lot more reels lately, so come and let me know what you think of them. I love you guys so much. Until next time, stay blissful.